Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm excited today because this is a requested video, at least on my Instagram. It's been highly requested, and that is another art room tour. The last time I did this was, I feel like maybe last year sometime, I don't remember. But this room is always changing, just like our playroom. And there's different reasons for that. I'm always seeing what works for my kids and stuff. Before I get started, I want to mention a few things. Number one, this is definitely not, the amount of materials that we have in this art room is not minimal. So don't expect that. These are things that we've collected over time. We do a lot of art here at home. People always ask me, how do they get started with having a dedicated art space for their kids? The first thing I'll tell you is that don't have as many materials as I do if your children have never had an art space, like a dedicated art corner somewhere in your house, right? You kind of have to gauge on like what your child can handle and what you can handle, because inevitably you will probably help to clean up. So if you can't handle too many materials all at once, then it's probably not a good idea. So you maybe would start off with pencils and colored pencils and paper and a few little things like, cardboard and that kind of thing, and then add as you are more comfortable and you feel like your child can handle more materials. But we didn't always have this space as an art room. This used to be an outdoor space, actually. It was part of the outside. And then it became my husband's office, and then my office, and then a junk room, and then a dining room. So we kind of gone all over the place with this room. And one main thing I will tell you, I always, no matter what, had a corner in my house somewhere for my kids. And at the time it was just lyrics. So if you look back at some of my videos, you will see that I always had some form of a desk for her to work and to go, and it was her space. And when I did that, it became a game changer for us. I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody in their house, but for us, it was a game changer. It helps with them being more independent. They don't have to come and ask me where everything is at. They can just come, grab some paper and pencils, and just start creating. The last thing, I know I talk a lot, the last thing I want to mention is that, again, please don't go out and feel like you have to buy a bunch of materials. You could actually use the stuff in your pantry, in your kitchen. You could find things in your nature walks with your kids. Go to the beach if the beaches are open where you live. Pine cones at the park, twigs, leaves, things like that. We're always including natural materials as much as possible. Particularly because inevitably some of the art does get thrown away. I can't keep everything. We do a lot of it as gifts. I save some of it and I will redecorate in here or the playroom with it. But no matter what, some of it gets thrown away. A lot of it we recycle. And because of that, I try to use as many natural things as possible in our art. So let's get started after that really long introduction. I'm very sorry. I've had complaints from some people that I do too much of a long introduction, but I don't know. Just fast forward or just don't watch. All right, here we go. Over here behind me is my kitchen, and when you walk in to this room, it faces the kitchen. I'm not going to show you my kitchen right now because it's a mess, but as you walk in, but this is what we have to work with right now. And I want to tell you that if you watch my last vlog, you'll notice that the desk is different. I used to have this awesome wooden desk that we really loved, but it was very heavy, very hard to move around, and so I changed it out. This used to be my husband's office desk, but now he has a stand-up desk. Okay, so over here we just have some paint. These are like soap dispensers from IKEA, and they work great for paint if you want to give your child some a little bit of freedom on using the paint. Here's just a bunch of tempera paint and pastel pencils that I found at a thrift store for $1.95 before we had to stay home. All right, yeah, so that's that. This is just a closet where I keep my vacuum, so I'm not going to show you that because it's kind of a mess. I think it's just well, I'll give you a little sneak peek. Yeah, it's just my dog food, a mop. It's really ugly in here. We're gonna actually one day we're gonna redo this closet, and so it'll look better. But And then over here, behind this, is something very scary. I'm just kidding. It's actually my washer and dryer. Okay, my dog's food. Here's a chair that I found at a thrift store. And again, I like to put the sensory table here for Maya. A plant. I had more plants in here. Yeah, you know, I'm a big plant person if you've been following me. So here's my rubber plant. Over here is the Duodots. You guys, I did a review on these Duodots a few years ago. I don't even remember when. And these are the exact same ones. They never dried out, even the ones without the tops. They're great. And then we just have some pencils, color pencils, more color pencils. These are quick sticks. They're great. They work on windows and they wash off. These are the smaller ones. You gotta make sure that if you have a little one, that you teach them how to use these, because if they press too hard, they can actually break the temper paint. And here I have these like staplers or whatever. And we like these because we can use our old art that would otherwise get thrown out if we are using regular colored paper, and make different shapes and then use it for collages. So we have quite a few of these, and then we have our stapler and sharpener and whatnot. We do have some paper here, some paper, so some sticks. Down here is just like different random little books and stuff like this, blank little notebooks that Eric likes to use to write stories and just draw pictures. Cardboard in this vintage like basket thing that I found in a thrift store. It works perfect for cardboard. And I just keep things like this. I mean, I just keep whatever I find that would otherwise be thrown out, because my kids will use it for all sorts of things. We do have some coloring books that they have gotten for birthdays, but I will say that I don't buy coloring books. My kids are not big on coloring books. We have some down there, and we've had them forever. The only time they're really interested in a coloring book is if I'm meeting another mom for coffee and my kids are coming. Then I'll bring them, and then they color with their friends. But other than that, they never use them while we're here. So that's why I never buy them. So we've had these forever. The one exception are these. Lyric actually likes these, and Maya is starting to really like them as well. So that is the one exception. Okay, over here is just a lot of different paper that we already used for art and would otherwise be thrown out. Okay, so in here is some plastilina. I'm a big fan of plastilina. My kids like it. I've had this for a really long time. And then in here is clay, like the terracotta color clay. It's big. It's a lot. And you got to make sure you seal that very good, because it will dry out. So for the air dry clay. We just have some trays over there. Those are trays from Melissa and Doug puzzles, and those are great for when your kids are working with clay. A piece of a self-portrait that Lyric made a long time ago. Here's another self-portrait when she was younger. Some more art. A little gnome in our plant. They're just different materials that we use for, you know, whatever. A plant that I had propagated and actually grew 2 babies. Some candles, because we like to light candles when we're working in here. Lyric just got these in the mail. My husband ordered these for her. These are sketch pencils, and so she's really enjoying these. A little drawing that Maya made, and a little clay bowl that Maya, my little one, made. She's getting really good at working with her hands. Some scissors. I always collect stuff like this from our garden because I use it for art. Frida Kahlo, Lyric drew that. And then a propagation. We are propagating a pothos there. Here's some more twigs and some chalk pastels. And as you can kind of see a theme, which is that I try to store everything in either wicker, I don't know, ceramics like pottery, or jars like this that they can see through. But these are just pasta sauce. It came pasta sauce or pickles or whatever you have. I reuse them to store materials. Twigs that we've collected, and you can paint them. This is one way to just use stuff in nature for art. Some popsicle sticks. This is thrifted as well. All of this is pretty much thrifted other than the glass jars. Some shells here. Some brushes, and this is an awesome pottery piece that I got at a thrift store. All right, moving along, I have a planty that I love. These are just tools for clay. These markers are pretty awesome. They will work on pretty much almost any surface, and we use them a lot for rocks. And we actually use them when we're working with twigs, and they are awesome. You can use paint too. And then I don't know what these are. Lyric got these as a gift. They're twistables, I guess, but I will say they're not my favorite, so I don't recommend those. Some pencils, some flowers. So what I do with the flowers is I will cut them from our garden, because you know we have a lot of different in the front yard and in the backyard. We have a lot of different bushes and stuff, and so I'll cut them and then I will let them dry out, and my kids will use them for art. And then some paint. I broke one, so I'm using this for now for water. And then over here I usually will add like trays that my kids can just grab. Right now they're empty because I'm cleaning them. Just some wooden trays that I put there for my kids to just grab and be able to use if they're working with anything really sticky, such as clay. And then a little ceramic thing for water for their paintbrushes. I have a basket here that I just put like random papers. And then over here we have like whatever they're currently working on. Colored pencils go down there, markers down there. Usually I'll leave some sort of, I don't know, flowers or whatever here. These are rocks that we just collected, and so I'm leaving them out because I know my kids are going to want to paint them. We have to clean them though, but yeah. I don't know what's in here. Oh, this is something that Lyric made with air dry clay. And as you can see, you can totally use materials from your walks or in your garden for art. Some paint. All right, guys, so this is a different day because my camera died and then I dropped my camera, but luckily it's okay. So it probably looks a little different from when I last filmed in here because, you know, my kids have used this room. But I think I left off over here. All right, so let's get started. Up here is just a container of just different kinds of ribbon and rope. In here is different materials that I use for sensory bin. And then in here are these different shapes that you use with these types of beads that I believe you can get at IKEA. I got these at a thrift store along with a bunch of other ones, and the shapes for like nothing. This big Volga basket has just a bunch of glass, just different kinds of glass jars that my kids use for outdoor play when they're making like potions and playing with water or whatever. Over here we have, this is a perfect example of how I keep certain things up high. This is colored salt. However, I'm sure you've heard me say that I really don't like to use glitter because it's a microplastic. So this is the leftover glitter that we've had for probably a few years actually. And there's not much left of it. Most of these are all empty and a lot of them are colored salt. But there is still some. I would rather just use colored salt. It works just as well in my opinion, and it's better for the environment. All right, so there's that. These are all just beads, wooden beads. These are just different tools for jewelry making. This is just different thread and, you know, lace for jewelry making. I got these at a consignment sale years back, but they're great for the younger kids like Maya's age, who's going to be 4 at the end of June. They're to make jewelry, but they just click together and then you can take them apart. They're really fun. She really loves them. These are just regular beads that we got at a thrift store as well. A bunch of different stamps, some rubber bands. The dog next door keeps barking and it's driving me a little insane. Some wax. Some wooden stamps, more wooden, I don't know, random pieces. Some pottery for, you know, water or paint or whatever that I keep back here. A plant, of course. This shelf. Pom-poms as you can see, some plastic recycled tops, some leaves from our garden. This is sequence, things that we find on our walks, just rocks and pebbles and stuff. More stuff from our garden that we use. Beer tops, you guys have heard me talk about those. Wine corks, some more different beads. I mean, the beads, wooden pieces that we can use for, you know, I don't know, threading or whatever. This is made out of paper. More tops from glue, from glue sticks that we recycle. Things that we find when we're at the park that we use for art. Buttons that I found at a thrift store. These glass gems, I don't know what they're called actually. Wooden beads. This is from washi tape. My parents gave the girls this. Googly eyes, which I no longer buy because my kids really don't use that kind of thing, and I would rather use stuff like this, which is just lentils or anything really. This is just from my husband's tool bag. So I don't really buy that kind of thing anymore. I've had them forever. Yeah. Flowers from our garden. One tip is that make sure you let them dry out before you put them in a container like this because it will get pretty nasty. All right. This is butterflies that we made with those shapers that we have, those cutting shapers. This is basically old art that would have been thrown away, and we just reuse them to make different things like that. This is pasta, beads, rocks, old jewelry, old flowers, some other different materials. My husband's, this is from my husband's tool bag. Old jewelry, flowers that I'm letting dry out. My husband's tool bag, flowers. Down here we have some more cardboard, of course, guys. Yeah, but I do buy paper here and there. But yeah, a lot of cardboard, little hammers and stuff. A little mortar pestle back there. Over here we have a cuties box. You can use anything really for art. Yeah, and we have all kinds of little bits and pieces in here. My kids will use to create different things. First, washi tape and some wire. Isn't going in. Oh, some of these toilet paper rolls. Glue guns. Something, parts of a tree. Toilet paper rolls, some glue, some tin cans. Let's see. Stuff for clay or Play-Doh that I make. Just something from eggs that they use. Some chalk, some jute and ribbon. Different materials. We have a lot of different materials. Doilies that we use for clay as well, for pressing. A lot of pine cones and twigs. Fun stuff. Now I will say that this is always changing. I'm always adding and taking materials out and changing up the way I organize. This is literally an ongoing thing constantly because I will bring out different trays like this and then have them there like that. You can use those old Melissa and Doug puzzle trays. Those work great if you want to make like a tinker tray for your kids. Instead of having them in glass, you can totally do that. You can have those little tinker trays and just put, I don't know, 1 or 2 or whatever you feel comfortable with. Yeah, so that's that part. And we have a lot of fun in here, guys. We spend a lot of time in here. I like having my kids have access to this material. And Maya, who is 3, it's about consistency. Worked with her on not just grabbing something like this and just pouring it all over the floor, for example. So yeah, it's just about working with your children and being consistent and setting some boundaries and seeing what works for you and your family. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This room is an always changing room, just like our playroom. But yeah, we're happy with it. I might be turning this room into a playroom. I don't know, I'm thinking about it. We will see.